Let's create the implementation layer. For this part, we'll focus on creating enough of the implementation so that the symbol shows up in the symbol selector. It won't be doing anything useful just yet. I'm already in the Visual Studio Code editor. The first thing we'll do is open the PyVision symbol extensibility folder from Visual Studio Code. From within Visual Studio Code, we can create, delete, and edit files and folders. Now we'll create our implementation layer JavaScript file within the symbol extensibility folder. We'll follow the naming convention. I'll name my file sim-arrow.js. My symbol name is arrow. We recommend creating the implementation layer within a JavaScript immediately invoked function expression, or IIFE, to avoid polluting the global namespace with local variables. The IIFE will take in as an argument and parameter the window.pyvisualization global object, which is created and used by PyVision. We'll name the parameter PV just to make it easier to type. We also recommend specifying the useStrict JavaScript directive. It helps you to write cleaner code, like preventing you from using undeclared variables. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's create the symbol's function object. In JavaScript, everything is an object, even functions. I'm calling my symbol object symbolVis, but any name will do as long as you're consistent. Next, we'll extend this object with the pv.derive visualization from base function. This will add some built-in default functionality to our symbol, used internally by PyVision. We'll be specifying the symbol object as a property within the symbol definition object, which is used for registering the symbol. We'll also be extending this object with the symbol initialization function later on. Now let's create our symbol definition object. I'll name my object definition, but you can use any name you choose as long as you're consistent. Again, you can find a list and description of each of the symbol definition object properties in the PyVision extensibility guide. Let's first specify the type name, which is required. In my case, that's going to be arrow. This name will also be used for registering the symbol and should be unique. It will also be used for finding the presentation and configuration files if we're using the standard naming convention, and for the display name of the symbol if one is not specified. Next, we'll specify the vis object type, which is also required. The value of this property is a reference to the symbol object we already created. The next few properties we'll be defining are not strictly required, but are recommended. It is not required to specify the data source behavior property. However, if it is not specified, its default value will be none, making the symbol a static symbol, and it won't show up in the symbol selector. The possible values for the data source behavior property are defined in the window.pyvisualization.extensibility.enums data source behaviors enum. A value of single means that the symbol only uses a single data item as its data source, where a value of multiple allows the symbol to use multiple data items as specified by the user by dropping attributes or py tags on top of the symbol in the PyVision display editor. For our symbol, we're only interested in a single data item representing the wind direction, so we'll specify a value of single. I'll also be specifying an icon URL to distinguish my symbol from other symbols in the symbol selector. We have included a PNG image in the class files folder that can be used for this purpose. I'll create a folder for my icons within the symbol extensibility folder to put our image in. I'll copy the PNG into this folder and rename it so that it's easy to distinguish from another symbol's icon. Folders and files within the extensibility folder are public static files that can be served by the PyVision application with a simple GET HTTP request from the browser. The URL of these files matches the folder structure within the PyVision installation folder. We'll use the relative URL to this file as the value for the icon URL property. Lastly, I'll be specifying the getDefaultConfig method. This method returns an object where each property is a configuration item that we want to persist in the SQL backend for the symbol. The values of these properties are default values of the configuration items. It is convention that each of these properties' names start with an uppercase letter. Some property names are recognized by the PyVision extensibility framework But the developer can also specify new properties to use internally within your symbol and/or to expose to the user through the configuration pane. For more information, please refer to the PyVision Extensibility Guide. One note of caution here with these config items: the values of these properties shouldn't be changed within the implementation layer code. Instead, you should change the values through the AngularJS directives in the presentation and configuration layers. We'll talk about this a little bit more later on. I will be specifying a starting default height and width for my symbol. These two properties are recognized by the PyVision Extensibility Framework, and if not specified, the symbol may not be visible within the PyVision display editor. With the symbol definition out of the way, we should define the symbol init function. We'll add it as a method to the symbol viz object prototype. This is the same object we created earlier and specified in the symbol definition object. The function will take a scope object, which is a reference to the symbol's instance, scope, and all its properties, and an element object, which is a jQuery object wrapper for the symbols containing HTML element. The init function will get called by each instance of the symbol when it is first created by the user, or when the symbol is loaded when the user opens an existing display. Each instance keeps its own separate scope. We'll talk more about this in a future lesson. For now, we just need this function to exist so that we don't get any errors when we try to create a new instance of the symbol in the PyVision display editor. Now we're finally ready to register the symbol with PyVision. We'll do this by calling the window.pyvisualization.symbolcatalog.register function and passing it the symbol definition object, which encapsulates everything we've done up to this point. This function should always be called last.